The crystalline chandeliers of the Grand Plaza Hotel reflected off champagne glasses as I stood near the dessert table, watching my family work the room. Christmas dinner had transformed into an impromptu networking event. At least, for everyone except me. "Maya is here too," my mother said to a distinguished couple, her voice carrying that particular tone reserved for disappointing relatives. "She does something with computers. Online sales," my sister Priya clarified with a practiced smile. The kind that looked sympathetic but landed like a slap. "You know, one of those little boutique things. Very entrepreneurial." She managed to make the last word sound like a hobby rather than a profession. I took a small bite of chocolate mousse, letting the moment pass. The couple nodded politely before Priya steered them toward more interesting topics. Specifically, her promotion to senior associate at Morrison & Partners, the city's third-largest law firm. My father, Rayesh Sharma, held court near the bar with his golf buddies. At 62, he had spent 35 years building Sharma Industrial Supplies into a respectable mid-sized distributor. Respectable. That word defined everything about our family. Respectable careers. Respectable marriages. Respectable failures. My younger brother Arjun appeared at my elbow. "You good?" he asked quietly. "Always," I said, meaning it. "Dad's telling the CFO story again." I glanced over. Sure enough, my father was deep into his favorite narrative about how he had almost hired me as CFO 5 years ago before Maya decided to chase this internet thing instead. "Turned down a 6-figure salary," he was saying, shaking his head with exaggerated bewilderment. "Real benefits, real security. To sell trinkets on a website. I still don't understand it." The CFO he had actually hired stood beside him, nodding sympathetically. Nobody mentioned that the offer had been conditional on me giving up any personal business interests. Nobody mentioned that his company's revenue had stagnated for 3 straight years, while my little online business had skyrocketed. "You should say something," Arjun muttered. "Why?" I asked genuinely. Would it change anything? He had no answer for that. My mother found me as the dinner crowd began thinning. "Maya, dear, Mrs. Chun's daughter is hiring for her marketing department. Entry level, but it's a start. I told her you'd call next week." "That's thoughtful, Mom, but I'm not looking for—" "You can't do this internet thing forever," she interrupted gently, using the tone reserved for coaxing children off jungle gyms. "You are 31. Your sister has a career. Arjun just made junior partner. Even your father started with nothing and built something real." I have built something, I thought. "A website isn't a company, sweetheart." She patted my hand. "It's time to think about your future. Real stability." I wanted to tell her about the 73 employees across 4 continents. About the flagship retail location in Soho that had a 3-month waiting list. About the technology platform that had revolutionized luxury markets. Instead, I said, "I'll think about it." Later, during the Christmas roundup, my father's tradition of summarizing everyone's achievements, the ambush began. "Priya, outstanding work on the Henderson acquisition." Gad toasted. "Arjun, junior partner. Excellent." Then his voice softened into concern. "And Maya... I know you are committed to this online venture, but we need to have a serious conversation. Selling products from your apartment isn't a career path. No pension, no benefits." "I'm not selling from my apartment, Dad. Whatever the setup is, it's not sustainable," he said firmly. "So here is what I am proposing. January 1st, you come work for Sharma Industrial. I'll create a position. E-commerce development director. $45,000 to start. Full benefits. You get real business experience. Win-win." "That's generous, Dad," I said. "But no. Maya, think about it. Mom pleaded. Stable income. And you can keep your little website on the side as a hobby. It's not a little website. I took a breath. Actually, I paid off my mortgage 3 years ago. The statement hung in the air. Your apartment? Priya asked. The studio downtown? The brownstone in the Heritage District, I corrected. 4 bedrooms. I bought it in 2019. My father frowned. How exactly did you afford that? The business is profitable, I said simply. Revenue last year was ... substantial. How substantial? Priya challenged, that dismissive smile playing on her lips. I knew they wouldn't believe it. I knew it would sound like a lie. 43 million, I said quietly. Before operating expenses. The laughter started immediately. Not cruel, but indulgent. The way you'd laugh at a child claiming to be an astronaut. Sweetie, my mother said, you don't have to exaggerate. We love you regardless. I'm not exaggerating. Maya, I've seen your website, Priya said, pulling out her phone. It's lovely, but there is no way you are generating Fortune 500 numbers from selling throw pillows. We don't sell throw pillows, I said. We facilitate luxury connections across 68 countries. Right, my father said, standing up. Look, the job offer stands until January 15th. After that, you are on your own. I'm not watching my daughter waste her life pretending to run an empire. It's Christmas. Let's not argue about fantasy businesses. I stayed seated as they dispersed. Arjun lingered. You're serious? He asked. About the numbers? Completely. Then why don't you show them? Bank statements? Tax returns? Would it matter? I asked. They've already decided what's true. In the parking lot, Arjun caught up with me. The Global Commerce Awards are next week, he said casually. You going? I stopped unlocking my car. How do you know about those? One of my clients is nominated in the finance category. Got an invite. Kind of a big deal, apparently. Kind of, I agreed. You should come, he said. Network, make connections. It might be good for whatever you're doing. He paused. Unless you are already going? I might be, I said carefully. He studied my face under the parking lot lights. What category? Does it matter? I should get going, I said, dodging the question. Merry Christmas, Arjun. Merry Christmas, he said, but his expression was troubled as I drove away. The week between Christmas and New Year's passed in its usual blur. My father called twice about the job offer, each time increasing the salary by $5,000 and decreasing the patience in his voice. My mother texted daily with links to real career opportunities. I spent the week the way I spent most weeks, reviewing quarterly projections with my CFO, finalizing an expansion agreement with manufacturers in Portugal, and working on a new authentication system for high-value items. The kind of work that looked like just checking email when you did it from a coffee shop. On December 31st, the Global Commerce Awards took place at the Grand Plaza Hotel, the same venue as our Christmas dinner. Coincidentally, the ceremony drew 1,500 attendees. CEOs, investors, and media from around the world. I arrived early, wearing a midnight blue gown that had cost more than my father's first car. The kind of understated elegance that whispered rather than shouted, though what it whispered was worth 7 figures. Miss Sharma, the event coordinator, rushed over. We have you in the green room with the other major award recipients. Can I get you anything? The green room held perhaps 20 people, all of whom had that particular polish that came with serious success. I recognized a venture capitalist who had tried to invest in my company twice. Daya Sharma, a woman in her 50s, extended her hand. Catherine Wu, Silicon Valley Ventures. I've been trying to get a meeting with you for 2 years. Your persistence is admirable, I said, shaking her hand. Your returns are remarkable, she countered. $43 million revenue on $22 million in operating costs, growing at 67% year over year. Those are unicorn numbers. We've been fortunate. Fortunate is winning the lottery, she said. This is strategy. When you are ready to scale globally, really scale, call me. I can have $200 million in funding on your desk in a week. I appreciate that, I said, pocketing her card. The ceremony began at 7 p.m. I took my seat at table 1, right near the stage. At 7:45 p.m., I heard a familiar laugh. 3 tables away, my father stood with his golf buddies, all dressed in rented tuxedos. My mother wore her nicest gala dress. Priya stood beside them, looking bored but polished. Arjun looked uncomfortable in a bow tie. They hadn't seen me yet. Is that your family? The CFO from Singapore next to me asked. Yes. Are they here for you? Not exactly. The awards rolled forward. My father's table was loud, enjoying the networking. I watched Priya take a selfie with the stage in the background. They applauded politely for winners in supply chain and logistics, their attention drifting to their phones. Then, the host announced, "We are now approaching our most prestigious category, the Global Entrepreneur of the Year." At my father's table, Priya was showing someone something on her phone. She lived for these moments, the subtle flex of being at an exclusive event. This year's nominees represent the absolute pinnacle of excellence, the host continued. From blockchain supply chains to platforms changing global trade. The massive screens above the stage lit up with nominee profiles. 5 faces. 5 companies. My face was third from the left. The professional photo was from last year's Fortune feature. The caption read, "Maya Sharma 31. Founder and CEO Artisan Global. Revenue $43 million. Operations 68 countries." At my father's table, someone noticed the screen. I watched them squint, lean forward, then frantically tap my father's shoulder, pointing. "Can't be," I read on my father's lips. The winner demonstrated not just financial success, the host announced, but innovation that created opportunities for thousands. My mother had returned from a call, but Arjun was urgently whispering to her, gesturing at the huge screen. Her face went pale. This year, winner built a platform generating $43 million in revenue while maintaining profit margins of 47%. The host read. Priya had stopped mid-sentence. She was staring at the screen, then frantically scrolling through her phone, probably searching for my company, verifying what her eyes were refusing to believe. The winner revolutionized luxury e-commerce, the host boomed. My father sat frozen, his scotch halfway to his lips, staring at my face on the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Global Entrepreneur of the Year, Maya Sharma, founder of Artisan Global. The room erupted in applause. I stood up, smoothing my gown. Cameras tracked my movement. The walk to the stage felt like it took an hour. Behind me at table 17, my family sat in absolute stunned silence. I accepted the crystal trophy. It was heavier than it looked, and positioned myself at the microphone. "Thank you," I began. 7 years ago, I turned down a job at my father's company to start what he called selling trinkets on a website. A knowing laugh rippled through the audience. He wasn't entirely wrong. I was selling things online. But I was also building something larger. A platform that connected incredible craftspeople with the world. I could see my father's table in the soft stage lights. All of them stared at me like I had materialized from another dimension. I raised the trophy slightly. "To anyone who has been told their dream is just a hobby," I said, looking directly at table 17. "That online businesses aren't real careers. That you should pursue something more respectable. This is for you. Build it anyway. The results will speak louder than any explanation ever could." As I stepped back from the microphone, the applause crescendoed. Camera flashes popped across the room. I returned to my seat at table 1. The crystal trophy cool in my hands. That speech was perfect, the Singapore CFO said, nodding respectfully. Thank you. Your family is here, Catherine Wu said from across the table, gesturing with her champagne glass. Are you going to talk to them? Eventually, I said. After dessert. But eventually came sooner than I planned. My phone buzzed with a text from Arjun. We need to talk. Lobby. Now. I excused myself and found them clustered near the hotel's grand staircase. They looked like a tableau of shock and confusion. Why? My father's voice had lost all its usual certainty. We had no idea. I know, I said calmly. $43 million, my mother whispered, her eyes glassy. You actually meant that at Christmas. I did. Why didn't you tell us? Priya demanded. Beneath the shock, there was genuine anger. Why let us think you were running some small-time website? I tried, I said. Multiple times. At Christmas dinner, I told you the exact revenue figure. You laughed. Because it seemed impossible, Dad protested. It seemed impossible because you had already decided what was true, I countered. I had a boutique website. I sold trinkets. I needed a real job. You built that narrative, and nothing I said could compete with it. You could have shown us evidence, Priya insisted. Tax returns, articles ... Would you have looked? I asked gently. Or would you have found reasons why it didn't count? Too new? Too digital? Too unconventional? Silence descended on the group. This is a lot to process, Mom said weakly. Take your time, I said. I'm not going anywhere. The job offer ... quotes Dad started, then stopped, seeming to realize how absurd it sounded now. $45,000. It was very generous, I finished diplomatically. For what you thought I needed. I have to get back. I checked my watch. There is a reception after the ceremony. Networking, media interviews. You can come if you want. The reception filled the grand ballroom. My family drifted in like ghosts at their own funeral. I watched them navigate the space, seeing me through the eyes of people who actually respected me. A journalist from Bloomberg approached. Ms. Sharma, congratulations. Any comment on the rumor about an acquisition offer from Amazon? We've had conversations, I said carefully, aware my father was listening intently. But Artisan Global's independence is central to our mission. The journalist scribbled notes. As she left, Catherine Wu appeared at my elbow. The offer stands, Catherine said. $200 million minority stake. Think about it. I will, I promised. My father approached as Catherine departed. He looked uncertain, like a junior employee interrupting a CEO. Is that ... Catherine Wu? He asked. From Silicon Valley Ventures? It is. She wants to invest in your company. She does. He absorbed this, visibly recalculating everything. I've been trying to get a meeting with her fund for 3 years for Sharma Industrial S expansion. I could introduce you, I offered. Though I should mention, she focuses on high-growth technology companies. Industrial supply might not be her sector. The words weren't cruel, but they landed with impact, a gentle reversal of every lecture he had given me about real businesses. Right, he said quietly. Of course, Priya found me near the bar a few minutes later. She had ditched her anger for something more complicated. I looked up your company, she said, holding her phone. Forbes did a feature. The Wall Street Journal called your platform the future of ethical luxury commerce. They are very kind. Why didn't you tell me this existed? She asked. I could have helped. Corporate legal, trademark protection, that's exactly what Morrison does. I hired Feldman International, I said. They specialize in cross-border commerce law. Feldman charges $1,200 an hour, she said, flinching. They are worth it. I'm your sister, Maya. You are also someone who suggested I run an Etsy shop, I reminded her gently. Who called my career a hobby? That was before I understood the scale. The scale doesn't change what it is, I interrupted. A real business, real clients, real impact. Those things were true whether I was making $43 or $43 million. You just needed external validation before you could see it. She looked down. That's not fair, isn't it? If I had told you at Christmas I was nominated for this award, would you have believed me? Or would you have thought I was delusional? She couldn't answer. The evening ended around midnight. My father found me near the coat check. He looked older than he had that morning. I owe you an apology, he began. You don't, I said. You saw what you expected to see. You wanted me to be safe. I get it. I'm proud of you, he said, his voice cracking slightly. I should have said that years ago. You can say it now, I smiled. That works too. My mother approached, looking exhausted. Maya... will you forgive us for not seeing what you built? There is nothing to forgive, I said. But maybe going forward, we could start with questions instead of assumptions. Questions, she repeated. Yes, that seems wise. We walked to the parking garage together. Before we separated, Priya stopped me. Next time you need legal advice, she said carefully, call me. I'll figure it out. No more assumptions. Deal, I said. I drove home through the empty streets, the crystal trophy secure in the passenger seat. My brownstone welcomed me with warm lights, the 4-bedroom house I had purchased outright, the one my sister thought was impossible. I placed the trophy on my mantle where it caught a light from the street, all sharp edges and validated success. Tomorrow my father would call with questions about my business model. My mother would want to understand the platform. Priya would read every article about me. But tonight, I made tea and sat in my living room. The room that represented everything I had built. The career they called a hobby. The business they called pretend. All of it real. All of it mine. I sipped my tea and smiled. Sometimes, the best response to doubt isn't an argument. It's achievement. And achievement, when it comes in the form of a Global Entrepreneur of the Year award, speaks louder than any Christmas dinner conversation ever could. If you loved how Maya proved her family wrong with massive success, smash that like button. And here is a question for you. If your family didn't believe in your dream, would you show them your success or keep it a secret? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories of underdogs taking over the world.